Hey guys, how's it going? It is Drake. So, I've not posted a video in a little while, and I'll get into that in my next video because that's not really what all this is about. But I spent last week playing for about 3 days The Last of Us Part 2. And I didn't upload gameplay because this is not because I have any preconceived idea about like uploading Let's Plays or single player stuff. This channel will have other games on it other than Valorant, but I just wanted this one game to be about my own experience with it. I didn't want any sort of like comments. I didn't want any sort of like streaming like going on and stuff like that. I just wanted it to be like me. And I did the same thing with Uncharted, which is my favorite franchise overall. And I really got to a place where I finished the game in 3 days. I avoided every single spoiler for the game, apart from some very minor things that I caught, you know, scrolling through Twitter, you see one thing, okay. And I loved it. And a few people are probably going to click away. And I will say, by the way, this video is going to have every spoiler imaginable. Like, everything I talk about right now is completely fair game. Like, if you've not played the game, go off it. If you think that, oh, you know, I don't really care, like, I don't care about spoilers, don't be one of those people. Go and experience the game fresh, new. Avoid spoilers, okay? There is a few things I need to say in the lead up to talking about The Last of Us 2. Number one is that I didn't love The Last of Us Part 1 the way everyone else did. I thought it was exceptionally good. It is one of the best games I've played, but I didn't have that same connection with everyone, with all of the characters that everyone else seemed to get. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. I liked Joel as a character. I liked Ellie as a character. I liked all of the sub-characters in that game, and I enjoyed the gameplay, even though a few things kind of bugged me a little bit. But I, so far, seem to be a huge fan of Naughty Dog games, and it seems that if you play them in their release order, they build off of one another. Uncharted 3 was better because of Uncharted 2, depending on how some people felt about the story. Last of Us was better than the previous games. Uncharted 4 was better than The Last of Us. Last of Us Part 2 is better because of its predecessors. There's even elements of like Lost Legacy in this game, in Last of Us Part 2, that I wasn't too keen on. It's not why I go to Uncharted, but I really didn't have the same just blind love for the franchise that other people have had, but I totally understood why people would, if that makes sense. Now, with that in mind, understand that it is a huge step for me to say that even though Uncharted is my favorite franchise, and I love it more than anything, The Last of Us Part 2 is now my favorite game of all time. And some people might say, that's ridiculous, let me immediately go to the comments and tell you why you're an idiot. That's fair enough. But hold up. Because while I didn't see spoilers, I didn't see anything about the game, I went through this game and thoroughly enjoyed every aspect of it. The gameplay is better, the story is the one thing that is criticized more than anything, and this is where I have my problem. I loved it. I loved it from start to finish. I loved it so much that Abby is my favorite character. And again, there is people wanting to go to the comments. Just hear me out. Abby's story, especially with Lev, is very similar to Joel and Ellie's story. And the reason I wanted to make this video was because I had this takeaway, which I didn't think was particularly unique. I thought that that's what, like, the whole point of playing as Abby was that you were supposed to empathize with her, and it wasn't just supposed to be a quick 1 hour of like, hey, this is why she killed Joel. It was a moment of, no, you're going to experience this person's worldview and understand how they got from A to B. It's not just going to be like a quick, you know, origin story. Which are things that have happened in, you know, Uncharted before. You played as like a young Nathan Drake, like you go through his childhood a little bit and his brother and things like that. Spoilers for Uncharted. And I really got to a point with this game, again, where I fell in love with Abby as a character and who she was and what she was about. And when it comes to the criticisms of the game that I did not know existed, I went on Twitter and suddenly characters are trending from The Last of Us. I go to Metacritic just for the heck of it, and I see that the game's getting review bombed. And I'm weirded out by this. This is strange. I've never had a take or an opinion that was so far gone of what everyone else has had before. And when I was talking to friends about that have completed the game, they also didn't empathize with this other crowd, these group of people that thought the game was a 1 out of 10, that it was the worst game ever, that it was SJW propaganda, which is still kind of funny to this day. I just wasn't one of those people, and I ignored those people. And then today I watched Alana Pierce's video on her like 30 minutes, what was it, her last 30 minutes or 45 minutes playing The Last of Us Part 2. And this is what I want to talk about. There are a ton of other things I can talk about, and they might spring up as I'm mentioning them. But I need a drink, I'm like dying. There are a ton of other things that I might mention during this, and they'll, you know, spark in. When she was playing it, and this isn't a criticism of Alana, I think she's exceptionally good at what she does, but she's mirrored things that other people have said. Primarily, she said that at the end, it's strange that Ellie doesn't kill Abby. And a lot of the takeaway, she says it in a much more eloquent way and well-mannered and well put, but she disagrees with it. And so do many other people. They look at the story of The Last of Us 2 and they say, well, I've gone all of this way, right? You watch Abby kill Joel, you go on this whole adventure, this whole journey, this like mental journey and a physical journey to kill Abby. And you get to the end of a 20+ hour game and you don't kill Abby. I can see why, on a really surface level, why that would be kind of annoying. But that is only if you take the story at a surface level and you say that's all the game's about. It's only about Joel's dead, we like Joel from from part 1, we are Abby, we like Abby, Abby is bad, we want to kill Abby. And that's really not, to me anyway, that wasn't the takeaway I had from the game. So I will give you, from memory, my experiences with the last 10 minutes or so of the game. When you're going to the beach and you see Abby is like strung up and you have the opportunity to effectively kill her right there and then, there's a moment where Ellie obviously thinks about this and then doesn't, lets her down, they go their separate ways, and she has this moment of, oh, I remember what you did to Joel. And maybe I even need to go back a little bit. I need to think, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, it's not just the ending where I had this similar feeling. After I played as Abby, I got back to the theater or the cinema, and you have that convergence of the story again. You have that meeting of the story. And when you fight Ellie, and I was Abby, I was going for the kill. Like, when I was pushing square and like, you're punching Ellie, I was going for the kill. I was like, kill her right now. End this. And a lot of people who love Ellie, who love, you know, part 1, and love these characters and this universe, might think that's strange. And my personal take is that Ellie is not the good character in any of this. To me, a shallow take is that Abby killed Joel, Abby is bad. But to me, that completely relinquishes Joel of any wrongdoing. I remember a long time ago, Greg Miller of Kind of Funny said that Joel is the bad guy here. Joel killed all of these people. And as a gamer and as someone that plays games, we go about our day, you know, we go about our motions. We want to go through the story, we want to go through, you know, different developments in said story. And we kill all of these people, and people have always commented on Nathan Drake doing this in Uncharted. How he just kills like 1,000 people and it's never really mentioned, right? It's like, no one mentions the fact that he's probably killed more than 1,000 people in, you know, the 3 or 4 games. And I think that one of my favorite moments of this game is when you realize that one of the most influential characters, Abby's dad, the whole person that you know, kickstarted all of these events, he was just nobody to you. He was just, you walk through the game, you were playing part 1, you want to save Ellie, you tunnel vision to Ellie, and you shoot him in the head, I think, right? You grab Ellie, you go. And I thought that that was such a brilliant moment of The Last of Us Part 2, where it's like, okay, you didn't think about that as a player, and this game is telling you that that is exactly how Joel was. That is a brilliant piece of storytelling right there, that, you know, 7 years ago, you didn't think about this, and you just went about the game, but it affected Abby. Abby existed in that world. Abby was there. She was moments behind you. She had this relationship with her dad. She knew these people. These were good people. Not that they have different sides to them. These were good people. And I think the game does part 2 does a really good job of showing you, maybe, you know, the whole zebra bit is a bit cliche, or I don't know, a bit too much, but it tells you, like, this is a good person. And Joel killed him senselessly, meaninglessly, because he was trying to protect Ellie and do his job, that being the doctor, because Ellie went there to do that. This was the entire thing about Ellie getting a vaccine, or making a vaccine from Ellie. No one made the decision. It was only Joel. It was only Joel that got to say, you are not going to die today. Ellie wanted to die. All of the doctors wanted to not kill her, but they wanted to get a vaccine from her and help everyone else, millions of people. It was only Joel, and Joel himself, that said, I want to do this. Joel is the bad guy. As much as we all love him, Joel is the bad guy. Now, Alana Pierce also said something that other people have said, and I say her because she's quite popular. People can go watch a very good video and get a reference for whatever a lot of other people have been saying. And she said, I would have liked the choice. This would have made more sense if I got the choice to kill or not kill Abby. And I've got two takeaways from that. The first one is that by that same logic, I should have got to choose. As Joel, do I get to kill or not kill Ellie? Do I get to sacrifice her for the greater good and develop a cure? Ergo, you know, no Last of Us Part 2 or kind of journey. No one seems to mention that. No one seems to say, well, I wanted a choice in this game of this huge moment. Why was there not a choice in the last game? Why did that not happen?
Ooh, you can fold my laundry too.
So I'm like sat here thinking, and I do this in real life. I said there was two things, and I forgot the other thing.
Let's get to the base.
Like, I was going to cut the video and say like, oh, it's blah blah blah, and I'm sat there and I'm trying to think about it, and I don't remember it for the life of me. I do not remember. God damn it. It is what it is. Maybe I'll remember it. Maybe, you know, if someone comments below, Drake, remember this, maybe I'll go down to the comments and remind myself. So the big takeaway, the big moment of Ellie literally killing, or trying to kill Abby and then not. He doesn't kill her. Abby and Lev go on their way. As I said that I wanted to kill Ellie, because in this story she's the bad person. Abby is shown to be a good person. All of her actions are perceived to be pretty good. She's a survivor in this world, as is every other character. She kills all of these people, this warring factions. She does her duty. And she does it well, but all in all, as you see throughout the story, they are good people, for the most part. And she simply has this one moment in time. Again, to us it's Joel, it's this one main character. To her it's just another person surviving in this world who committed a horrible act, and she had a personal vendetta with that person. And I totally get that, and I appreciate that what they're trying to do here is say, take a step back. It's not just Joel and Ellie, it's actually this whole world that's happening, and consequences have actions.
What do you mean?
Now, as I said that I was trying to kill Ellie because I believe that her undertaking of going back after Abby was completely mindless, like self-centered, and you see that throughout the end of the game with her leaving Dina. Like, it was completely nonsensical for it even to go after. Is it? Actually, hold up.
Yeah. Any plan on getting it back?
No, I get on the instance. Forget what I just said a second ago. I get on the instinct of, like, that is Ellie's character. She wanted to go after Abby. That makes sense. But at the end, when you are fighting as Ellie against Abby, I didn't want to do it. There was a moment, and I remember I was sat there in my front room playing it, and I was reluctantly hitting square.
Did he say anything? Or...
And I said to myself, if this game, and this is don't get me wrong, like people may be disagreeing with me so far, that's fine, but I fully appreciate that what I'm about to say is way on the other end.
I wouldn't read too much into
If this game made me kill Abby, I would have probably not properly finished it. While I appreciate that's right at the end of the game, I would have just been like, nah, not my cup of tea. Never mind, I'm just gonna, you know, whatever. And I probably would have come back to it like an hour later, legitimately finished it, got the trophy, and said, in afterwards, I didn't like that ending. Like many people actually don't like the actual ending that happens. I was so relieved when Ellie got off of Abby and let her go. And it's only in hindsight, and a lot of people again stick to this one-track mind of, or base level storytelling of, Abby killed Joel, why didn't Ellie just go and kill Abby? That's the story. And when I think more and more about it, the story is really about trauma, it's really about PTSD, it's really about mental health. And no amount of violence, no amount of killing Abby, or anything, killing how many people she killed, it wouldn't help her deal with Joel. It wouldn't help her deal with that loss. And I thought that was really poignant. I thought it was really kind of clear. And I struggle with saying that because it feels like a little condescending to people that still don't like the ending. It's like I'm saying, hey, you're an idiot, you don't understand certain layers of storytelling. That isn't the case. But I really, really, really enjoyed the ending of the story where Ellie had her own moment when it was like, I'm letting go of Joel. I don't, that, you know, this killing Abby won't make it better. It won't change anything. And obviously Joel's not going to come back from the dead, but it wouldn't change how she felt. It wouldn't bring Dina back. It wouldn't bring any of the people back that have died, like Jesse and people from earlier in the game. It would just be a continuation of that violence. It would be a continuation of everything you've experienced as a player, and I fully got that, and I loved it, and I loved every second of it. There are some nonsense takeaways that I've heard from the game, things like Abby couldn't get that jacked. I didn't show it with the gameplay in the background, but just before that, if you've played the game, and again, it seems to be there is a ton of people that are critiquing this game who haven't played it, but your starting area with Abby, just after she's like quite a young girl, you walk out of these double doors and there is a full setup of a gym. You walk a little further, there's food, there's supplies, there's everything you would need to run a fully functioning mini society. And when someone loses the most important person in their life, to me, it makes total sense that this person who's clearly very determined and very loving dedicates herself to getting absolutely jacked and has a moment where she's like, no, I am finding Joel and I'm killing Joel. Joel paid for his actions. He paid for his selfishness towards Ellie. That made complete sense to me. Total sense. On the topic of inclusivity and diversity of cast and everything like that, I've not heard anyone that's completed the game bring this up as a genuine issue. I've seen some people on Twitter and some of the Metacritic reviews talk about it, where, oh, there's a trans character, there's gay characters, there's gay scenes in the game. I was gonna say the film. In the game, there's all of these different things, and that is completely true. There is a sex scene in the game. There is a partial sex scene with Ellie and Dina, and none of these things, like, I find this very strange in my world, because if you're going to not have a problem, if there was a sex scene, for example, in Last of Us Part 1 with Joel and another female, no one would care. No one would care. If it was with Tess, for example, which is probably the go-to for myself and a lot of people, like they clearly had a relationship, no one would bat an eyelid. No one would care. The same should be for Ellie and Dina. That's just normal. Now, when it comes on to the conversation about trans, by the way, this is a really good point to spot the people that haven't played the game, because they think because Abby got a little jacked that she is the trans person, which is the worldview there is really minimal. I feel bad for those people. The trans character, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Lev. They kind of, I forget what the term is, but I think it's like dead naming or something, which is a name they used to refer to themselves by. But the people chasing them, I forgot their name, the cult lunist type folk, they will go through the game shouting Libby, and it's revealed in a little tiny bit of the game that, no, I shave my hair because this is how I feel. You're not allowed to shave your hair. They're a cult. They don't like me anymore. And that's kind of the story. It's a really small little moment, but I feel like, you know, what else would have been in that moment? You know, to me, that there's a person that isn't remotely like me, that saw that little moment in the game and thought, oh, that's cool. You know, that's like an acknowledgement of my world, of what happens in my world at times, right? Where, you know, these bad things do happen. And we had this at the start of the game with, I completely forget the bartender's name. I'm not good with names. But, you know, Joel gets in his face a little bit because he's being homophobic towards Ellie. And these scenes are fine. Like, these are real world things that happen. These are real world stories. And people say that this is SJW stuff, and I struggle with that because the only people really complaining and seemingly crying a little bit are the people that are against it. These are real world stories that happen to people, and to include them in our games and include them in the worlds that we love makes complete sense to me. If anyone's got a valid reason as to why it shouldn't, I'm more than welcome. Leave a comment. I'll happily discuss it with you. That just isn't my opinion. But all in all, I thoroughly love this game. I think the gameplay is better than the first. The graphics are the best I've ever seen in a game, in a single player game, especially on PlayStation. It's the best game of this generation, I think, pretty comfortably. I think the best two games of this generation, in my mind, are Last of Us Part 2 and Uncharted 4. God of War is not there for me. I didn't really enjoy that game. I didn't even finish it. I was moving at the time, so I might go back to it. But this was a special game. And I will say one thing, that if there are genuine people... people with genuine criticisms of the game where, you know, you loved Joel more than anything, and you're really sad about that. I do feel for you. I feel for the people that are of that mindset. But to me, this is the type of depth that games actually need to go to. Again, The Last of Us is about its world and not about the individual characters as much. At least that seems to be the takeaway to me. And I'll leave it on this, because this has been quite a long video and I didn't realize how easy it was to just talk to a camera for like 25 minutes. Jesus. When I'm editing other videos, I'm like 5 minutes in and just like, wow, like, what do I do now? When I was much younger, I watched season 1 of Game of Thrones, and I thought it was pretty good. And I remember, oh, the dude from Lord of the Rings is in it, and GoldenEye, Sean Bean. Cool. And I remember getting to the end of season 1, spoilers by the way, and he dies. This big Hollywood actor is killed in a TV show. And my mind was blown, because my go-to thought was, well, what are they gonna do for season 2? Like, that's how minimal my story comprehension was. It was just like, well, like, they've got rid of a main actor, what are they going to do now? And it's the same here, I feel, with some people when they talk about Joel. It's, well, Joel's gone. Like, that was the whole point of The Last of Us. Like, no, it's about 1,000,001 other things. And I think they do a really, really good job of showing those 1,000,001 different things in The Last of Us Part 2. It's an incredible game. I would give it, you know, if my rating system was a 10 out of 10, like, or goes to 10 and 10 was a masterpiece, not perfect, but masterpiece, I would say yes, it is a 10. I thoroughly enjoyed every aspect of the game. There was moments where I felt a little drained, where I didn't want to carry on. There's two takeaways to that. Number one is that ad's really annoying, so I'm going to click that off. There was a moment with the game which I felt exhausted, I felt done, I just didn't want to go through it anymore. And the interesting aspect with that was, I don't know if that's a design decision to say this is how the characters feel, or I just shouldn't have played the game in like 3 days, maybe. So yeah, that's all my opinions. I'll try and edit this as minimal as possible. I won't cut out very much. Again, I've been recording for 28 minutes, so thereabouts. The video will be that long. Tell me your opinions. If they're mindless nonsense that I could read on Twitter from some person that's played the game for 30 minutes, maybe not. It's not interesting to me. It's not interesting to anyone. If you've played the game, if you've played part 1, if you've got into part 2, if you've loved the game, tell me. I'm genuinely curious because this will encourage more conversations with me and Tom. And Tom's a big fan of Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. And I really want more of those discussions with everyone. I love this game. I hope you did too. If you didn't, let me know down below. I will see you guys in the next much shorter video. Thank you very much for watching.